So growing up in the late 80s, in a beautiful coastal city of Benghazi, Libya, a country synonymous with chaos and unrest. I had a tumultuous upbringing. I, uh, I used to stand in lines. Lines were the normal thing that one did all the time. You have to stand in line to get the most basic necessities of life. Sometimes they're long, painfully long, um, and sometimes it gets pretty hot. You're standing in that sweltering 80, 90-degree heat, standing in the line. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you're denied the basic right or basic goods that you're supposed to get. That was way of life, and I was learning through it. So one cold, frigid morning, I was standing in line to buy a piece of bread. Yes, a loaf of bread. I said it. Freshly baked bread was actually a commodity. And being in line, it was basically some of the best thing ever happened to you at the time. So I was standing in this line. I was gradually progressing into the bread. There was a truck which was selling the bread, and I was standing in this long line, gradually moving forward. As I reach the front of the truck, a stern woman voiced asked, "How many loaves of bread do you want?" I was not ready to order. I was standing in front of this huge line. The commotion was going in the back. Peace was shattered, and I was this 9-year-old boy standing in front of the line, petrified. I don't know what to do. She asked again, "How many loaves of bread?" I quietly said, "2, please." She handed me the bread and said, "Give me the money." I took out all the money from my pocket and gave it to her, and I left with 2 loaves of bread. I reached home, and Mom was furious. Said, "You bought 2 loaves of bread. You're supposed to get groceries." I was embarrassed. I don't know what to say. I cannot even execute the mundane function of buying a bread and getting exact change. I sucked. The guilt carried me throughout my life. It actually, I made decisions. The fact is that I cannot count. I basically thought about what's my future will look like as I cannot count. Living or growing up in a world where you have 2 choices in career. Either you become an engineer or you become a doctor. Everything else is an abject failure. So I decided that I will become a healer. That's the right thing to do. Engineering is not in my cards. I realized that. And this trusty old, worn out medical encyclopedia that I bought for my own money as a teenager, kept it securely next to my bed, sealed the deal. All the stars aligned, and I knew that I'm going to be a doctor. I'll take care of people. That's the best thing I can do. And so when I decided, it seems that was the right decision that I made. I was good at it. I was able to answer all the questions the patients have without even bothering about calculating something or counting something. I can answer all the questions the patients have. So that led me to the path to become a doctor. It unconsciously, I was driven by the fact that I can't count, made me carry that path and become a healer. So people asked, like, how did you figure out the doses on the bedside? Well, the pharmacist came to help. And then I had my trusty old bulky handheld device called Palm Pilot. Sorry to my millennial friends, the darn thing can do one thing right, calculate. That's it. I was in heaven. The calculator was my best friend at that time. And then the credit card came, the most illuminating, most exciting development of mankind. The money changed hands virtually without me knowing at all that it happened. So life is going on. I'm really excited. I had this funny thing with computers, and I think I understand them better. I can count, but I can write codes. It comes easy to me. Programming a computer was one of the best thing ever. I can control them, I can command them, I can ask them to do the one thing that I can do, make them count. So I embarked on this journey and tinkered with the computer. My level of excitement goes up every single time I'm next to the one thing I enjoy working with, the computers, of course. And this obsession grew at a frenzied level. Apple released one of the iconic iPhones, and it was initially a status symbol, then it became a necessity. You don't leave home without it, my friends. And that inspired me to pursue something more with computers. We started to learn and train these computers to do things that they have never done before. I started to think and tinker with it all the time. This new understanding with the computers led me to pursue a degree in bioinformatics. This is kind of field of science that you become a computer whisperer. The stumbling block came when this mad demon pursued me relentlessly. I was supposed to take a calculus class that I was not prepared for. This mad demon told me that my sole existence in this world is a cacophony of numbers in this mysterious world, and you're a failure. If you don't know how to do math, you can't succeed. I was not ready to give up. I was not ready to call it quits. The one thing that shook me to the core, I'm not ready to make peace with it at that time. So guess what? The mundane YouTube videos of calculus tutorial saved me from the impending doom that I was supposed to be at. I passed the class with my dignity intact. I found solace in the fact that I can really command the computers very, very well. We started to understand words and put meanings into it. And that led me to one of my work in understanding more how physicians make decisions about how to treat low back pain in patients. We decided to understand and characterize pain in lower back. One problem I had was I have to go through series of notes, clinical visits, encounters to really understand how physicians really make those decisions to treat this lower back pain. I had an army of students and nurse practitioners, residents and fellows who worked tirelessly with me. We looked at upwards of 4,000 records just to make sense of how physicians make decisions about lower back pain. I thought, there's something better than this. I can do this better. We decided to nurture and give birth to an artificial intelligence. It was an AI baby that I loved more than my own kids. We really taught the AI the real meaning of pain, particularly in the lower back. It started to learn, it started to grow, it started to make sense. I was mesmerized. It grew, it started to make sense of the characteristic of pain in a way that's even elusive to the human being. That news went viral. I was on the top of the world. It was a pinnacle of success. The anxiety to count dissipated. Who needs to count when you have an AI baby at your beck and call? I delved deeper. I started to make sense of the words and convert them into numerical vectors so we can train and build even a better and more sophisticated AI. I had a computational power in my pocket that far exceeds the rudimentary counting abilities I have on my fingers. I was on top of the world. I was invincible. I was walking with a bit of swagger lately. Yeah. It was exhilarating. Then that cold, moonlit night, I walked into a queue. I wanted to buy that delicious Carty rolls and to take it home with me. I scanned that area, and there was a sign flashing right above the cashier booth. It says, cash only. I was, the aroma of Carty roll just fizzled. I was clutching onto my cash in my pocket, and as the line progressed, I was just tense, and it was the most shocking thing I had. I wasn't thinking right. I walked forward, and a sweet, frail, feminine voice seeked my attention. She said, "Are you ready to order?" I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to do anything. I took out the cash and gave it to her and said, "Here." As she smiled initially. Then she got startled, and then she realized something, and then the cash exchanged hands, and I just bolted out the door, not saying a word. I was just speechless. Outside on the lonely bench, I took out the cash and just put it on the bench, took the hands out of my pocket and counted the most rudimentary way I knew on my fingers. It was an exact change. I was relieved by the realization that I cannot count myself, but I can certainly count on my fellow beings to do the right by me. Thank you so much.